DC, right here, have discovered an area where dinosaurs congregated.
Tony Kornheiser, right. It's called the PTI set.
Oh, you mean really right here?
Yes, right here, right now.
We don't have Larry King with us. Larry's been here.
Larry has been here.
He's been here.
We are now so old that in dog years, we're into four figures. Four figures in dog years at this point. Welcome to PTI, boys and girls. In today's episode, Aaron Rodgers sounds miffed. LeBron would listen to the Warriors.
Please.
And the Thunder reportedly picked Paul George over Blake Griffin. But we begin today with Tom Brady's retirement whenever it comes. Jonathan Kraft, son of Patriots owner Robert Kraft, told the NFL Network that Brady has, quote, earned the right to have that be a decision he makes when he wants to make it, unquote. Wilbon, do you see the Patriots honoring their pledge to let Brady retire on his own terms?
Oh, I didn't hear a pledge. I don't believe in a pledge. And I like Jonathan Kraft, father of Northwestern students. So we had that in common.
Thank God he's got money.
That's not what happens in the NFL. Players do what management lets them do or tells them to do. When I use the phrase, and others use the phrase, plantation mentality, we're just not talking about race exclusively. We're talking about the ability of NFL owners and whoever they appoint to lord over players who can be cut, whose contracts can be wiped away, their contracts mean nothing.
So you don't think this is going to happen?
They're year to year. If Tom Brady continues to play well, they'll have him. If Tom Brady suddenly stinks it up, they'll get rid of him.
I made a partial list here. See if you remember any of these names. Joe Montana, Joe Namath, Johnny Unitas, Peyton Manning, Brett Favre. I could go on and on.
They all have in common? Get out.
Well, that's pretty much it. Only John Elway. Only John Elway went out pretty much on his own terms. And I don't even know if you asked him now, honestly, if he wouldn't have said, I wanted to play one more or something like that. Look, I would be surprised and very pleasantly surprised if Tom Brady and Bill Belichick and the Patriots at large arrived on the same date for Tom Brady to go. But I would be less surprised if we actually saw Tom Brady in another uniform at some point.
That was part of the story about Garoppolo. If you believe any or all of that story, the Patriots always have people ready to move into position when they get rid of yesteryear's star. This is how the NFL operates.
You know, it's not, okay, it's not just the NFL.
No, it's mostly the NFL because they can cut you.
I know, but
the other three sports in North America have contracts that are guaranteed. The NFL
it's not about that. You end up with another team, like Michael Jordan.
He did.
You end up with another team because invariably players think they've got more left in the tank than coaches
think. They also have some leverage in those other sports and not the NFL. Jim Brown, he went out on his own terms.
On his own terms.
Other people greatly exaggerated. You agree with that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. In most sports, I believe.
Here's a story that supports my notion that players don't get to control anything in the NFL. Aaron Rodgers can't even control his present. He indicated to Golick and Wingo this morning that he didn't even know the Packers were getting rid of his quarterback coach, Alex Van Pelt. Quote, I thought that was an interesting change. Really, without consulting me. There's a close connection between quarterback and quarterback coach, and that was an interesting decision. Close quote. Tony, we're talking about a guy who has led the Packers to a Super Bowl and won 2 MVPs.
Won the Super Bowl.
But the Packers clearly don't think he's earned input. Do you?
My short answer is yes, that somebody like Aaron Rodgers has the right to be consulted when there's a change like this. Blake Griffin should not find out he was traded through Twitter. I mean, there should be more concern on the part of management. But the long answer is more complicated. If I understand this story correctly, Alex Van Pelt didn't want to be the quarterback's coach anymore and put his name up there so that
he was going to go be an OC somewhere
else,
or bigger.
So that he voluntarily told the Packers, this is not what I want anymore. What I find impossible to believe is that Aaron Rodgers didn't know that he and Alex Van Pelt did not have this conversation all year. And so this leads me to believe that Aaron Rodgers is taking a shot at Mike McCarthy.
Well, what's impossible for me to believe is that Mike McCarthy or someone higher than Mike McCarthy can't say to Aaron Rodgers,
he's earned it.
Hey, listen, your boy Van Pelt, you know, he's trying to do something else here, so he may have to leave and we may have to go to the rest.
And you don't think
How hard are these conversations to have?
And you honestly don't think over the course of a year?
Do I believe Aaron Rodgers? You damn better believe I believe him.
I don't think he told you all that he knows. Look, a quarterback's coach, this is not like an offensive line coach where you got 5 guys, maybe 6 with a tight end.
One-on-one or one-on-3.
A quarterback's coach has to have rapport with the main quarterback.
You know what?
Tom Brady needs that. Aaron Rodgers needs that. Drew Brees needs that.
People in football talk about every day. They sleep on sofas and don't see their families because they got to communicate. Because they got to be at practice. They got to be in the building.
Yeah. So
what the hell are they doing in the building if they can't tell Aaron Rodgers your guy might leave?
Okay, here's where you and I differ then. I think Aaron Rodgers had to know that was in play. I think he had to. They're in the same little cubicle all the time. According to ESPN.com, there's a scenario out there under which LeBron James would listen to the free agent pitch from the Golden State Warriors. Now, to sign LeBron, the Warriors have to give up in some form Klay Thompson, Andre Iguodala, and Shaun Livingston, and then ask Kevin Durant to take a pay cut. Wilbon, does this sound like something that could actually happen?
No. And so let me turn this in a different direction. This would be the dumbest thing that the league could ever allow to happen. I mean, you talk about living, breathing commissioner. If this actually happened, look, and I don't know if the commissioner can stop it, but, Tony, there would be no interest in the league. It would be the Harlem Globetrotters and a bunch of Washington Generals. Now, if players think that everybody is obligated to pay attention to them, no matter what the scenario, let them try this and find out. Let them get a dose of reality. People are not going to watch that.
There are a couple of obvious holes in this. One is that if you have Steph Curry, Draymond Green,
Kevin
Durant, and LeBron James, they go 77-5 or better than that. Okay. First of all, Kevin Durant's not going to take a pay cut so LeBron can make more money than him.
You wouldn't think
he's not, and he's taking pay cuts. He's not going to take it. Not so LeBron can make $10 more million than he's going to make. That's number one. That is not going to work. This feels to me like something representatives of LeBron are doing to throw darts at the owner of the Cleveland Cavaliers and say, not only will we leave, we'll go to some place, we'll beat your brains out.
Why would the owner of the Cleveland Cavaliers care about that?
Because he wants to keep LeBron.
No matter where LeBron goes, it's going to be the same thing for Cleveland.
But don't you think he wants to keep
LeBron? Shaq once said expansionism, bro.
Okay,
so that's what it's going to be. This would be the dumbest thing. I'm talking about, you're talking about the finances. I'm talking about interest in a league where people now start to turn the page on the regular season because they say, let's get to the playoffs because we don't believe more than 3 or 4 teams per conference are viable.
If you had Klay Thompson, would you trade Klay Thompson?
I'm not trading Klay Thompson. I'm not breaking up that team.
Right.
They've already won 2 and working on the 3rd.
Right.
Why do they?
Plus, he's 27.
LeBron's the greatest player out there, but why, you don't need LeBron if you got that team.
LeBron is 33 now with the mileage of a 38-year-old.
Well, I don't know about that.
He plays more.
He looks pretty 33
He's already played more minutes than Michael Jordan.
Okay, but he's bigger and stronger than anybody's ever been, except Wilt. You don't need him. This doesn't help your product. The league product doesn't help. LeBron and his current team actually won a game last night, and LeBron had 24, 5, and 11, the 11 being rebounds.
More LeBron!
So there's nothing to blame Kevin Love for today. You agree with that, right?
Yes, I do.
But a club executive reportedly told Cleveland.com that the King will have to do more in Love's absence. And that prompted LeBron to say, quote, no, I just do me. I average 9 rebounds, so I don't have to do more than that. I'm going to just do me. My job doesn't change no matter who is in or out of the lineup, close quote. Tony, isn't it tone deaf for anyone in the Cleveland front office to ask LeBron to do more?
This is a fantastic quote. I just do me. This is spectacular, followed by average 9 rebounds. I don't have to do more than that. That is tremendous. It reminds me of when Donald Trump was asked about exercise. He said, I this, I that. That's what he said, I this, I that. This is a tremendous quote.
Really?
Yeah.
This represents a problem to me in Cleveland. You know, one thing I did tell you at the end of last year, I came back from the finals and I said to you, Tony,
they're done.
It just feels like to me they're done and they're going to implode.
Yes, you did say that.
And all of this speaks to that.
You did.
This speaks to people are tired now. Look. Don't question LeBron's effort. He does more. Even if he says, I'm not going to do more, he is going to do more because that's the kind of player he is. He's ultimately accountable. He did more last night. He averages 9, he got 11. Some nights he'll get 13, some nights he'll get 8. Don't question LeBron.
Let me give you my reaction to this. A few days ago, we talked about the guy at WEEI who said of Tom Brady's daughter that she was a pissant or something like that. And that cost that radio station Tom Brady. This Cleveland official, this unnamed Cleveland official, fired.
Well, you got to find out who it is.
Well, fired because this is it. This is LeBron James working harder over a longer period of time, or as hard, but I think harder, than almost anybody in all of basketball.
There's no point.
And you say he's got to do more? What planet are you living on? Fired is what should happen.
Okay, there's no name attached to it, so you can't fire everybody.
You don't think you could find out who that was?
No. Not
really?
Good.
You'll need a good reporter. Stop.
Anybody find out who was Deep Throat from Woodward and Bernstein for 40 years?
Actually,
when he died.
There was suspicion.
When he died.
There was suspicion.
Okay?
And I wouldn't equate some unnamed Cleveland Cavs official
maybe
with that guy.
Can the reporter keep his or her sources?
Somebody else can find out. Boom. See ya. You wouldn't fire that guy?
I couldn't find out. What kind of reporter were you?
Yeah.
You can't keep your source secret?
Other people worked the story, pal.
They never found out who Deep Throat was.
ESPN is reporting that before Blake Griffin was traded to the Detroit Pistons, the Clippers offered Griffin to Oklahoma City for Paul George. The Thunder declined. Will, should the Thunder have done that deal?
My first inclination is to say, yeah, because Blake Griffin is from, Oklahoma. If you need to sell tickets because other people like Kevin Durant, other people like James Harden going all the way back.
He's also signed for X amount of years.
I know, and he's signed. My point is he can sell tickets.
Yeah.
Blake Griffin is still a magic name in the state of Oklahoma.
Right.
Now, who's a better player? Paul George or Blake Griffin? They do different things. Paul George has gone deeper in the playoffs than Blake Griffin has, all right, being a leader of a team. And Paul George might have been the best player on that team for Indiana.
So you think Paul George is a better player?
I don't know. I think it's close. But I think if I'm Oklahoma City, I got to look at all that Blake Griffin means in that equation. Signed, son of, still capable. Yep. And if he can't play with Russ, maybe I go back on it, but I think I would have done it.
So we're going to argue just briefly on this. I think that Blake Griffin is a better player, but it doesn't matter. They're certainly in the same stratosphere.
Yes,
they're certainly right there. They're orbiting together.
That next group of players, yes.
And there is the ticket thing, and there is the sign thing. Now, if Paul George went to them and said, you know what, I'm not leaving. I guarantee you I'm not leaving for L.A., that's a different thing. Let us go back to our first story, our second story about Aaron Rodgers for a second. I believe that Russell Westbrook is a big enough player that if you're Oklahoma City, you run this by him.
Yes, and that's
what you do. Can you play with Blake Griffin?
And that's what you
Would you rather play with Paul George? I even think, and this will shock you, that Carmelo Anthony is a big enough star. They put those three guys together.
You want to see how it plays out?
I do. I think you run it by them. They haven't had a full year yet together.
That's
so
right.
I think you have to do that.
Could.
I would have made that trade, but maybe I'm wrong.
I would have made that trade unless Russ, who has shown a willingness and a loyalty to my team and my city, said, I don't want to do this.
That's right.
I'd rethink.
Let's take a break. Coming up, what does Nick Foles need to know in advance of his first Super Bowl? We're going to ask Matt Hasselbeck.
And we're also going to ask him whether Tom Brady should throw any differently to Gronk, knowing that Gronk.
Let's get back into the Super Bowl with ESPN NFL analyst and a longtime member of the Bald Brotherhood,
here.
Matt Hasselbeck. Let's start with this. You have played in the Super Bowl. Nick Foles has not. So be his quarterback coach for the moment. What advice would you have for Nick Foles?
Well, he doesn't need me as a quarterback coach.